In this video, we're going to go over making a make.com workflow from complete scratch. It's going to be a little bit more interesting than the workflows that we did in the previous videos. And so in order, the problem that we're solving here is sometimes my team, when they add email accounts to smartlead.ai, they don't set a custom tracking because they just forget. And it's just like an extra step that they forget to do. And so I built a workflow that we're going to rebuild right now where we list out all of the email accounts every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we automatically add the custom tracking domain to the email accounts. And so then that way we never forget and we can just always do it automatically. Now, I am going to be shooting this one a little bit from the hip. So if I do a little bit of research, just bear with me. This is supposed to show you like exactly how I build these workflows. And so when you're thinking about these workflows, the first thing you have to think about is like, okay, what's the first step of what I need? And so this workflow is going to probably start with an API call to smartlead.ai because the first thing that I need is like the list of email accounts that I need to add the custom tracking to. So we're just going to jump in here and we're going to put HTTP. Whoops. And then we can make a basic auth request. And I already have my smart lead one put in here, but now we're just going to map a URL. So we can just go to their documentation, and I just want to look at like email, list all email accounts per campaign. That seems pretty good, but I don't want the campaign ID. Whoops. Oh my gosh. So their documentation, I'm not scrolling right now, and their documentation always does this. Let me just pause and find it on my own, but I am just researching here to find it. Okay, so I did find it, and this is the URL that we're going to be using, and I deleted my API key. I'm going to add that back in after I pause the video. But one thing I just wanted to show is that we don't need to have a body type because of the way that this API is being called, and we don't need headers just by the way that this is being called. In Make, I don't know why they wouldn't just parse the response by default. I just wanted to come here and say every time just parse the response because there's no reason to not parse the response. And so just quick pause to put my API key in. Great. So now we have this set up and we're just going to run this module to make sure that it's working properly. So I'm just going to let it run. And so we got all of this back. Got to pause. I don't know where my API key is going to be. So good thing I paused because it is a little bit above, but we got all of this data back of like all of these inboxes, right? And so the custom tracking domain is set on this one. And I guess it's set on this one. I thought I turned it off. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn off one of the custom tracking domains so that we can see this work. But we did get everything that we needed because what we really need is this inbox ID right here to keep moving on with the API documentation. And so the way I know that, I'm so sorry, I kind of skipped ahead because I couldn't, because his like thing is scrolling so much. The way you know that is because if you go to update email account, see how this is the URL of the API key that we have to call, but I need the email account ID. So I needed to call this first to get a list of all of the inboxes that we have so I could have this email account ID. And then I'm going to put it all in of like all of this data right here. And so now we can push through. Okay, so we're going to pin this one. We're going to need it a little bit later. And so now we're going to go to make. And so the problem that we have here is like you could see from before. Hang on. So the problem that we're going to have here is if all of your outputs come as separate bundles, it'll automatically just feed all of that data through the workflow. We need to set an iterator here because see how this is an array. If we were to just call this, we would send the data absolutely nowhere because like it's like literally 100 of these email accounts and we can't move it through the workflow. So when you have an array like this and you need to separate the array line by line, you're going to use what's called an iterator. And so if you go to flow control and you hit iterator, that's what you're going to be using here. And so when we do the iterator, again, one mistake that I used to make was I would like, I don't know, I would do something crazy. Like, I don't know. I forget what I would do wrong, but the way that you know that you're mapping this correctly is see how it says data array, and it says array here, you want to just like drag and drop it over into here so that you can get so then you can be separating the array. If you pick the wrong one, then it's not going to be working. Okay, and then this top thing is basically saying like, hey, this won't do anything unless you add another module, which is precisely what we would need to do. And so now we're going to take a quick pause. Sorry, I had knocking on my door. So now what we need to do is when we're setting the custom tracking domain, right? Whoops, update email account. When we're setting the custom tracking domain, we need the domain that we're actually setting. And so in order to do that, it's like, all right, so in this workflow, how do we get the domain without doing anything crazy? And so I know what the domain is because it's Ramesh at 521.com.au is what we're doing here, right? So each email obviously has the domain that we're using. We need to separate it by this @ symbol. So we want all of the data after the @ symbol. So when we come in here, we're going to use a text parser right now, which is what we're going to need. And then we are going to use a match pattern because we need a regular expression again. And so we're going to ask ChatGPT how to do this. And so we're going to open up trusty ChatGPT. And now we know the search pattern is a regular expression. Output groups are defined based on the expression. For details, see the module expression. So this is fine. We can go see the module expression. But so we're going to search for a regular expression. And so then we're going to say, give me a regular, I'm going to use 3.5 so it's faster. Give me a regular expression that would return the data after the @ symbol in Eric at growthengine.x.com. If this doesn't work, we'll have it like crawl make.com's support docs. Great. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to put this pattern in. I'm just checking something. We're going to put that pattern in, and then the text that we're going to have it affect is going to be this from email. So we'll put, we're going to put from. Now we'll put the username in. That's fine. So now we have this text parser. So now we're separating everything. Now that we have the text parser, now we need to compose. Now we need to like compose what we're doing here, right? And so what I mean by compose is now I'm separating this to have the domain, but I need to have the custom tracking domain. Oh, geez. I don't know why it does that. I need to have this custom tracking domain as emailtracking.goldenboot.com, right? Like I need it to get into this format. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to compose a string in make.com where it's, I just use in, like in.goldenboot.com. So we're going to make this in dot, and then we'll just have the domain. So the way we do that is we use a tool, and we're going to compose a string. Great. Bring it over here. And now the text is going to be in dot, and then we're going to take our pattern over here, and now we're going to be all set. Finally, the original thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to update the email account, and it keeps scrolling. What the heck is wrong with that? Now we want to update the email account. We're now ready to put this API call together as well. So we're going to copy and paste this, and we're going to make a new scenario. And so we're going to say HTTP, make a request, URL. We're going to put all this in. Now, for the email account ID, this is the mistake I guess I was saying. Do not go to data and take the email account ID. You want to use the flow control iterator to do that. So now we have ID right here, and then I'll enter my ID after we're done. What is this? It's a post request. So let's enter it as a post. And now let's just check what else it wants us to do. So there's no headers, but it has this data here. So we're just going to copy and paste this. And we're going to go body type, JSON application, and then request content, max emails per day. Actually, I don't even really want to update any of this. I just want to delete all of that because all I want to affect is just the custom tracking domain. So then actually, you know what? Yeah, I do like to have it with 50. So let me get my API key together. All I'm basically going to do is I'm just deleting all of this. And then with the custom tracking URL, I'm literally just putting text in just right there. And then I'll pause to put my API key in. All right, so now we're ready to give it a run. We're going to come in here and I'm just going to turn it off. So we have this one is turned off. So now we have that. And now we're going to let it run. And then if everything works, bang, bang. Now that was like definitely under 10 in my list. So I'm just going to let it go to 10. Boom. Okay, so now that's stopped. And then we come here. And now it's turned on. It's all set. We can check the status, CNAME verified. We're good to go. in.sendgreystonerelocation.com. And so this is a little bit of a longer overview of how we use make.com with multiple of these tools to put everything together, a little bit of ChatGPT. Hope you enjoyed it and this made sense and is helpful for you so that you can start using make.com and other no-code tools.